हरिः कन्ना।
Now let's look into the key terms for rectangular data or terminology of rectangular data forward slash data frame. So let's begin with rows. So rows is nothing but the horizontal dimension of a rectangular data set representing an individual record or observation. Let me show you one example so that it will be much clearer. So for us, if you see this data, no, or else I'm gonna check. Yeah. So let me check. This time hands-on, store, soccer player, unit sales, store details, customer segmentation. Let's go for the customer segmentation. Okay. Key terms of rectangular. Yep. So it's custom is equals to pandas dot read csv and its customer segmentation. So cust, yep. So here if you see this data total, it consists of 2000 rows and 8 columns. So out of this horizontal records, this horizontal ones, I'm just selecting each one is called as a row. So like that we have 2000 rows, but in actual data sense what we call them as a record or observation. Just remember that we call them as a record or observation. Let me write down here. So that's how we have to call them. It's not just a row is not the correct way of calling them from data analysis perspective. We call them as a record or observation. Let me write down. So the horizontal dimension, the horizontal dimension, this is called dimension. You see that this is horizontal dimension, first one, the horizontal dimension of a rectangular data set representing an individual, that's what, individual record or observation. This is the correct way of putting. This is what is a row. So if you see this, these are the observations or records of an customer. So if you see each record belongs to certain customer ID. So this row is the record of customer ID 1, this row is customer ID 2, this row is customer ID 3, this row is the record of customer ID 4, and this row is the record of customer 1996, and this row is the record of customer 2000. So that's why, or these are the observations of, what are the observations that we are making here? Different attributes of that customer or that entity or the customer. So that's why we call them as rows in generic language, and then observation or record in a proper language, in a data language. Then second we have columns. So columns are the vertical dimension of a rectangular data set representing a variable or attribute, a variable or attribute. So if you come here, so again if you see that, again let me copy this. So if we make it the vertical dimension, so because a rectangular data will have only two dimensions, so that you can see on the screen, one horizontal and second one is vertical. So the vertical dimension of rectangular data representing an individual attribute attribute or variable. That's what we call. So now if you see, this is the customer ID 1, and then remaining all attributes of that guy, attributes of that customer, of that entity. What is the attribute? Gender is one attribute, age of him is one attribute, annual income is belongs to that guy or the girl, that woman, then spending score. These are all attributes. That's what we are doing. So the vertical things are the attribute of respective uh, customer ID or entity. So always you have to understand in such a way that the horizontal ones are the recorder observations. When it comes to the vertical one, these are all the attribute or variable. Okay, so that's what is our, yep, so that's what is the uh, we, in a simplistic language, we call it as a column. So column is nothing but an attribute, and we will have the column name. So the column name is called as an attribute name. In a proper way, when it comes to the machine learning, we call it as a feature. That's called the feature name, and then the values inside that are called the feature values. Then cell, the intersection of a row and a column in a rectangular data set containing a single value, is called a cell. So what is cell for us? This is what is cell. This is one cell and this is another cell. So what's happening? It's the intersection of a row and a column. This is intersection of second row and then the fourth column. 0, yeah, 0 1 2 3 4, the fourth column. So this is intersection of two and then this. So that is the reason we call this as a cell. This is a cell. Okay, and here you can see the cell. So if you want to see the cell, so let me take cust, and then I'll take age. So I want this age of, I'll go with the 2. Yep, you got the 20. Absolutely. That's what. Clear? Customer, age, and then 2. This is, I directly targeted this cell. So if I just want to put it 23. Okay, that's it. So it's 20. You got the 23. So let me replace, and here it is. It's been replaced to the age 23. Okay, so that's how we work on the cells. Then we have header. So header is, this is very important, the top row of a rectangular data set containing the names of each column are called header. Is called as header. So for us the header is this. So let me show you. Let me call that cust again, cust, and this is what the header. So the first one is called header of the rectangular table, or sorry, rectangular data. This is the header of the rectangular data. This header consists of the names of each column. Each column is nothing but each attribute. So the header consists of the all the attributes that are related, that is header consists of a header consists of the names of each and names or attribute names of each and every entity. Okay, this is what. So these are all attributes of respective entities, and the attribute names will be here on the header section. Okay, if you want to see the header, so let me give cust dot, let me say simple header. This is just an header. You say columns, and columns is an attribute. Just mention columns and it will give you the column names. This here mentioned, it's an index. So these are all the header names or column names or the feature names or attribute names, whatever you call. but the meaning remains same based on uh, where you are referring. If it is machine learning, we'll call them as a features. If you're just random data analysis, we call it as attributes. If it is layman language, these are all columns. That's it. So next what we have is index. So index a unique identifier for each row in a rectangular data set. So it's pretty straightforward, and here you can see you got the index. Obviously we'll be working on indexes in our next slide, so you don't need to worry about that. We'll be working on that, so you don't need to worry. So here is the index at this moment. This is the index and this is unique, but for us the customer id can be used as an index because this is also an unique id. This is also an unique id. So that's what you have to decide, whether you will go with the default index that is created or that is given by the pandas, or you will go with your own or customized index. But at this moment this is what is our index. So then we have primary key. A primary key, a column or a set of columns in a rectangular data set that uniquely identifies each row. So column or set of columns. Primary key. A primary key can be a column or a set of columns in a rectangular data set that uniquely identifies each row. So here in this case, let's so a primary key is a unique key. Okay, that's how you have to take it. So here customer id is unique for us, remaining all you will have a repeated values. It's unique, and for each row you will have a unique value. And similarly when it comes to here we do not have anything unique. And let me check the players data. Let me call for the players data. Player is equals to pandas dot read csv rectangular soccer player. And here if you see you got the set of two columns with the unique identifiers. So these are all names. If you check it as single, there is possibility of repetition, but when you check a combination of second name and first name, then obviously it will become a primary key. And so now all other columns and their values will be the attributes of respective primary keys. So that's how whenever you refer to this primary key, the respective values will be appear. So that's what is the advantage of primary key. So if you want to see, I'm going to show you. So let me call, you can directly call this which row you want to have. Okay, so these are the primary keys for us. These are will be used. Okay, next we have foreign key, a column or a set of columns in a rectangular data set that refer to the primary key in another table. That's what is called the foreign key. A column or set of columns in a rectangular data set that refers to the primary key in another table. So it's kind of joining. So you have table 1, let me show you, but of course there should be 2. Okay, you have table 1, that's a player's data. So for me the set of second name and first name is a primary key here, and I have another maybe customer id, another one which is a primary key in this rectangular data. So now if I want to combine these two data, either I need to have a uh, similar similar primary key on there, but when I refer this primary key with some other primary key in some other data, rectangular data, then the second primary key of that rectangular data is known as the foreign key. In a simple way, a column or set of columns in a rectangular data set that refers to the primary key in another table is known as a foreign key. So then we have data type. So the type of data stored in a column of a rectangular data set such as a text, numeric, date or boolean. These are the simple data types. So let's see here. So basically data types, it could be text. So Abadi, Lias, Simona, Emmer, Peng, Boris, Urska, Milenko, Nenata. So these are all uh, basically uh, textual data. Then we'll have a numeric data. So numeric data. So 170, 171, 167. These are all, and weight 16 and 64. These are all called numeric data. Then you have a date. So date here you don't have. So let me bring one more data type. And then we also have the fourth data type, that's a boolean. So boolean we do not have here. So let me bring another. Reviews. So let me say reviews is equals to pandas dot, let me convert that into code. So reviews is equals to pandas dot read CSV, and then Amazon e-commerce execute. That's okay. A review, and here is the data. So if you see here, you would find uh, boolean type values. Let me show you that. Yep. Not here. So most of the data hasn't been captured properly, but okay. So here you'll have some boolean type data. These are all 1-0. So either, so these are all reviews. Okay, so just to look into that, we need to get into that one more data. So this time I'm gonna call for just let me check the data name. Okay, customer e-commerce data. Let me go for that. E-commerce data. E-commerce is equals to pandas data read CSV, and then okay, so ecom, and here is your data, here is your data frame. And then if you see each is mobile, so is mobile is 0 or 1, you have only two. So let me, is mobile 1 or 0, it's a true or it's a boolean type. Of course it's not mentioned true or false, but it's a boolean type data. So that's what I just want to show you, that boolean type. Even is a returning visitor, you will have only two options, yes or no. Is that a mobile, yes or no. Is that visitor is a returning visitor, yes or no. You will have only two options. These are called boolean type or binary type response. Okay, so then we will look into the for the data. For the date type data, we need to look into the one more type. So date type data. So I'm gonna go for this time series data. TD is equals to PD dot read CSV, and then I'll get into the time series, and inside the time series I'll go with anything else. That's okay. TD, and here is that. You can clearly see on this is the date data. You can clearly see the date, and on the right side you have electric production, how much it's been produced, maybe in megawatts, such sort. And but here what I want to show is date data. So here we have seen four types of data: textual, numeric, date and boolean. So then we'll have a missing value. A missing value is nothing but a cell in a rectangular data set that contains no data. So no data. If that doesn't have any data, that cell is called a missing value cell. Again, I'm repeating, a cell in a rectangular data set that contains no data. Let me show you one example so that it will be much clear. So if you see that, so here I'll scroll down, come right side, and here it's NaN. There here data is missing. This cells, you just take any cell, so the data is clearly missing. There is no data. So this is called, so it just simply what we can do is b, just yeah, b dot drop, sorry, review dot drop na, and finally after dropping na, this is what left. Okay, 1 rows and 98 columns, because in all rows at least you will have 1 or, you see that each row consists of these 1 or 2 missing cells, so that is the reason all rows were dropped other than this one row. That's okay, but that's how we work with missing values. So then after missing values, one more terminology, that's called data cleaning, the process of identifying and correcting or removing errors or inconsistencies or missing values in a rectangular data set is known as data cleaning. So what we have done before is, if you can just what we did, we have seen if there is any inconsistencies or if there are any missing values, we just remove that missing value cells or rows, and if you can correct the values to the new values, this all procedure from removing errors or correcting errors, inconsistencies, missing values, these are all together is called as a data cleaning. So let me do one. So for example, if you take this one, so ecom, so for e or td, so td, what I'm gonna do is, let me take the td, and in td I'll take ipg, and for this I'll take the uh, one, so this one, in this row I'll take for the value is 55.3151, this one, index 4. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change it to 23 just to correct. Okay, so now let me, the in place change has been done, this is the 23, so let me execute it back and you will see 23 here. See that? Got it? So this kind of operations on your data set are known as data cleaning. So then a data transformation. So the process of converting or reshaping a rectangular data set to fit a specific analysis or visualization is known as data transformation. So we have discussed before, so data transformation will use a shape and reshape tables, and we'll use few more methods to do this data transformation. Okay, so then so in addition to that, we can use as type if you want to just convert from one data type to other data type, we can use as type. Okay, anyway, there are a few more different methods that to do the data transformation. Anyway, we will be looking into all these methods in our machine learning projects. You don't need to worry too much about these things, but for now you just understand what it is. Okay, so then we have pivot table. Everybody might have known about this pivot table, a tool in spreadsheet software for summarizing and aggregating rectangular data by multiple dimensions. So then we have normalization. So what is normalization? This is very, very important. Whenever we work with machine learning project, we do this. So that's why I'm telling, that's why it's very important. So the process of organizing data in a rectangular data set to reduce the redundancy and improve data integrity. So this is what we call it as a normalization. So we will see that. And denormalization, the next thing, the process of adding redundant data to a rectangular data set to improve the performance or simplify queries is known as denormalization. And joins, everybody know about joins, the process of combining two or more rectangular data sets based on a common column. Again, a common column or common set of columns are known as joins.